Welcome back to another episode of Decentralized Chain. It's Firoz, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking to the product strategists over at MetaFinance around their DeFi protocol, which to me touched very close because they are looking at developing a one-stop shop solution for all your DeFi needs. And it's not a new project. They've been running steadily for the past 8 months, working across multiple chains as well. But before we do, if this is the first time you're here and you want to learn more about crypto, whether it's news, insights, or analysis, to help you get that edge, start now by hitting the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. Better still, why don't you come on over, join us in the Telegram channel. Plenty of crypto enthusiasts, from novices to pro traders. So certainly no question is too big and no question is too small to help you on that crypto journey. Now, that's enough about me. Let's jump into the interview with Daniel and see exactly what MetaFinance is all about and how I feel that it is a big player coming into the DeFi space. See you on the other side. Daniel, welcome to the show. How are you doing, man? How have you been?
Thank you. I'm awesome. Sweating in Singapore. It's always hot here. Apologies if you see me sweating.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Actually, to be honest, funny enough, in the UK, this week for us has been around 30, 31 degrees, actually. So I feel you, to be honest, more than anything else.
So I think England is getting hotter, right? So
it is. Yeah, no, it's horrible. I mean, to be honest, like in the UK, most of your regular houses don't have air conditioning. It's not something that we tend to normally have. So when the heat kicks in, we really feel it big time. So and we're feeling it more than anything else. So look, today we're here to talk about MetaFinance, and I think before we kick in, we've seen a big boom in DeFi, and last year's DeFi summer, certainly was one of the things that really kicked it off. And I'm curious, before we talk about MetaFinance, what are your thoughts in terms of DeFi and traditional finance? Do you kind of see that DeFi is really the new finance portal to go to, or do you think it's going to kind of more by sit alongside traditional finance?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I'll give you some context. I spent over 15 years working in banking, so I have that as a reference point. So see me as a reformed banker. I think it's important to understand what DeFi is. It's basically a broad term in an evolving industry, but essentially is built on a blockchain, and you have decentralized applications being built on it. The layer. So what should make DeFi, as in decentralized finance, is that it should be built on a layer that is decentralized by nature. So a lot of protocols, they claim to be decentralized, but actually they're quite centralized, as in you have, on proof of stake, you have a lot of miners that may have a lot of control over the protocol, and you have a skewed control over a concentrated pool of miners. So you may not actually be decentralized at all. So here we are focusing on the true decentralized nature of finance built on a truly decentralized protocol. And so here, for example, when you have a lot of decentralized applications being built on Ethereum, one could claim that Ethereum is not fully decentralized yet. So therefore, anything that's built on it is not truly decentralized. So it is an evolving term, but we are going to see truly decentralized, more and more decentralized finance applications being built on truly decentralized protocols, and that's what MetaPool, that's what we're doing here. So is decentralized finance going to replace banking? The issue with banking is that you're not going to see banks disrupting themselves, so they need to be forced to be disrupted. So decentralized applications, fintech, is forcing banks to disrupt themselves, essentially. And what we're going to see here is an evolutionary process where banks and decentralized finance startups are going to merge. So you're going to see banks taking over decentralized finance companies. You're going to see banks adopting protocols. So is decentralized finance going to replace traditional banking? Well, I think the best way to see it is that decentralized finance is going to become the new banking. So it's going to be morphed into DeFi. What is missing and what is going to evolve as well is regulation around it. Yeah. So what is missing is regulation. And, we should be embracing regulation as long as it is not overboard, as long as they don't overdo it. And they tend to overdo it at first because they don't understand it, as in the regulators, but then it gets to normalize later on. Because the industry leaders would then force the regulators to normalize. But usually you see first a heavy hand from regulators, and then you see it normalizing with time. But we embrace regulation because it means that consumers will be more protected because a lot of scams and bad actors in the market. So we're going to see regulation arriving more and more, and that is good because it allows for decentralized finance to take off and to become mainstream, essentially, rather than there's something in the corner that is in a gray area and is niche. So we need to see these applications, these products to become mainstream, and regulation allows that to happen.
I agree with your point. There are many that don't like that in terms of regulation and compliance coming into cryptocurrencies, coming into DeFi as a whole, because to a certain extent, they feel that that's you giving up your identity, right? But I think you're right. You have to be a balance. Exactly, and that's the key word, right? There has to be a balance, because in all honesty, if this space is fully anonymous, then buy-in, consumer protection, retail protection, scams, they will all run rampant. And more importantly, you're not going to get institutional players really going, head into all of this, because there just isn't any protection from there. And you need it, from any type of large organization that generally wants to be involved in DeFi. Compliance and regulation is key for them, for their stakeholders, and generally for them to operate as a business. So I certainly agree with you that regulation is needed in this space.
So consumers, data needs to be protected.
Yeah.
Consumers, they've been used to being abused over the past, decade or so by, the big tech companies, big silicon tech companies that have been taking the data and selling it, and consumers have not benefited from any of that. So this is the beauty about the crypto movement, because it's about, protection and monetization of your personal data.
Yeah.
Things need to evolve and regulation needs to evolve so that, one, it allows consumers to protect themselves and to protect their personal information, but also allows them to sell the information and monetize it when they want to.
Yeah.
And, so there needs to be, again, I think, as you said, balance is the key.
Interesting. I mean, when we talk about evolution, I mean, we have nation states like Salvador adopting Bitcoin as legal tender. You think DeFi would be adopted in a similar fashion? Yeah.
So I think El Salvador adoption of Bitcoin as a legal tender was a seismic moment for us, because he is seeing a validation by a government and of this space, and for it to become a legal tender is the first step amongst many of the those kind of countries. El Salvador, that they have issues with their own currency and they don't want to adopt the US dollar. If anything, they want to move away from US dollar as a reserve currency. So moving into crypto, moving into Bitcoin is a natural progression for them. And so that's the first step. So it's the first move advantage that from El Salvador, but others will follow. And after that, it makes sense for decentralized applications being built, on top of Bitcoin and on top of other protocols. So I think this is just the first use case because El Salvador needs that alternative currency, and Bitcoin became the legal tender for them to do it as a first use case. And then subsequent use cases for that, subsequent use cases after that would be the use of DeFi applications. And again, Bitcoin being a legal tender, again, on the subject of legality, we want the wider public to be adopting cryptocurrencies, and for it to become a legal tender is a positive step, and for regulation to come in and protect consumers around that is the second step, and we want to embrace it because then it makes it DeFi again widespread. So I think El Salvador as the first use case, using Bitcoin makes sense, and then second use case after that is the DeFi to take off.
So I mean, on the topic of DeFi still, let's talk a bit more about MetaFinance. I'm curious. I mean, what is MetaFinance when we look at it at the crux of it, and how does it differ from all the other DeFi protocols that we kind of have in this space already?
Yeah. So to put it simply, is a one-stop shop for DeFi. So if you look at Compound, it provides lending. If you look at Uniswap, it's trading. Yeah. And even within lending and trading, you need to go to different protocols, and you need to go all over the place for you to trade and to access more complex products. Here, what's missing in the market is one place where you access lending, you access trading, you basically have access to aggregated pool of decentralized exchanges, and the one place for you to do that is MetaFinance.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the things I speak quite heavily on the show, and the viewers know, and user experience, customer experience is quite important, because I certainly feel to a certain extent we lack that within crypto, because it's, I would say, tech led first and sort of consumer afterthought. The whole user experience, I would say, that certainly does go amiss sometimes. And, there isn't really many when you kind of look at it in terms of a one-stop shop solution, right? You have to go to these protocols to do this type of lending, go to these protocols to do this type of borrowing, and you're in a number of different places. And I think that also certainly affects usage and adoption, because there is a learning curve, and it can be daunting for anybody coming into DeFi, realizing that there's so many different protocols I have to interact with in order to perform a certain function feature. So it's, I think it's key in terms of having, turnkey solutions all in one place. Now, you guys have been pretty much around for nearly a year, actually. So I'm curious, what are your sort of milestones that you've achieved up until now?
Yeah, so we deployed the following products: MetaBoard, MetaPool, MetaDao, and MetaFund. And we have achieved 12,000 active users, and we're expanding into the Asian region, Europe, and Brazil. Okay. We completed 3 chains: Ether, Heco, and Binance protocol. And so the biggest achievement here has been really the active community of 12,000 users. And to highlight, I think the one of products that is really going to take off is the aggregated decentralized exchange, because that's one place that aggregates liquidity, that access liquidities from different exchanges in one place. And the exchange that we have can break down, can fractionalize trade into different exchanges to arrive at the best price, so arrive at the cheapest price. And we have an algorithm that checks the integrity of these transactions, so that checks the integrity of each of these exchanges to make sure that we're not dealing with an exchange that's about to collapse, etc. So security here is covered, and we put usability and making sure that the products are user friendly at the forefront of everything that we do. So we're constantly getting consumers feedback, and we adjusting the product using agile methodology. So we're very big on agile methodology, and getting the products out quickly and getting feedback from customers quickly and adjusting. So we have achieved 12,000 active users, because of our approach.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's. I would say it's quite rare that I have people that come on various projects that come on the show, and they sort of talk about agile methodologies. Actually, so those who are familiar, I'm a product manager by trade. So
All right.
agile for me is very important, because first of all, it allows you to pretty much develop, iterate, get it out much quicker, and also fail fast, right? Fail fast and iterate again. So it's one of the ways to quickly ship products and get it out to market without having something fully fledged.
Feedback quickly and then adjust. And
no, exactly, and I think this is really key. It's good to see more projects, thinking and working along those types of methodology mindsets more than anything else, because it does allow you to polish and iterate much quicker to market, rather than sort of getting it all out there and then thinking, oh, we need to make these changes and those changes. So no, it's always good to hear, actually. Now, in terms of your token, so MFI is your token. One of the key things that we're also we're seeing with many projects across the board is governance, right? They're introducing governance as part of the token utility. Now, I'm curious, why do you think governance is essential for yourselves as well? I mean, how do you see it adding value to the community?
Sure. Before I answer that, I just wanted to add a caveat that this interview is for educational purposes, so I'm not selling any investment products. So
no, of course, no, exactly, no. This is all educational. There's no financial advice on this show at all.
Yeah. So basically, to take a step back. We believe that DAO, the centralized organization system, is basically the future.
Yeah.
Because we put technology at the forefront. I know everyone talks about AI and most companies that claim to have AI, when you look at their architecture, they're not AI at all. A lot, companies, tech companies that make statements that they're very advanced, they're not yet. So what we can say is that we are advancing towards that, and let me tell you a bit how our token works in a practical, in practical, so that you have an illustration of what I'm trying to get at. Before I address your question, so first of all, we have a scarcity in our token model. So we have 420,000 MFI tokens that are ever going to be issued in the market. That's our governance token. That is, the users of our protocol, they basically provide voting in terms of actions in the system. And so whenever we want to take an action, the holders of MFI tokens, they have the ability to have a vote and to have a say. So the more tokens they hold, the more of a say you have. So there's staking methodology there, and so that's basically the key aspect of the MetaPool DAO. So basically, on the MFI token, the users can stake it, and they're able to earn MFS, which is a revenue share token. So if you're an MFI token holder, you can vote, and then you have access to the revenue share token. So with that MFS token, you can then exchange for tokens in other projects that our fund invests in.
Got it.
Or you can basically take a yield. You can take a part of the revenue share, and so the MFS token, if you want to actually take a share of the revenue in a system, or to access a token from a different project you're investing in, it gets burned.
Okay.
So basically, here we solve the issue of dumping. So you're not going to have users in our platform to dump our tokens, because they have to burn it in order to receive the revenue share, burn it in order to access the token from a different project. So here you have users that have active say in terms of how the protocol is run, because by being holders of the MFI token, they basically vote in the system for actions, and they can exchange that voting token essentially for a revenue token, and if they want to actually earn from the revenue share token, they have to burn it.
Got it.
So basically, in practical terms, that's how the system works.
Yeah. Good. All right. And then in terms of actually, when we talk about DeFi, right? And I wanted to just delve a bit more, because obviously you touched on the topic that, like we've seen the boom in DeFi products, certainly DEX and yield aggregators have been quite a big feature, over the past months. And obviously, you mentioned you're also building out your own DEX. What more can you share about that?
Yeah. So basically here, the huge opportunity is basically for those in crypto, that want to trade, that want to access more complex strategies, for them to have one place where they can access, everything they want to in terms of investment strategies, in terms of more complex stuff. So they don't have to jump from one protocol, one website to another. So here we're providing trading products, derivatives, essentially options on tokens, and you can carry out different option strategies, straddles, etc. And you can have access to all of that in one place, and having your margins being managed in one place. And the way that we do is we basically, you have control over your wallets. So, and you keep your wallet where it is, and from the wallets we basically give access to different exchanges, so that it basically saves you time, and it makes it easier for you to access those products and those strategies. And that's the usability factor, and the fact that we want to remove barriers to entry. So we want to remove barriers to entry for users in terms of having access and making it easy for them to access very complex strategies, but making it layman for them and making it in one place. And also for the tokens that are on the fat tail of the curve, they have issues, because if they want to list on exchange, they have access to liquidity of that exchange only. Because here we're aggregating, we are basically aggregating liquidity different exchanges, and it allows those tokens from that on the fat end of the curve, on the fat tail of the curve, to basically have access to liquidity that they wouldn't have access to, or that would make it very expensive for them to have access to otherwise.
Okay. And then I'm curious, because obviously there are a lot of DEX aggregators already out there. I suppose, what are your advantages over, say, like the pancake-like DEXs that we see already?
Yeah, so the advantage that we see is that, one, we believe that we provide the cheapest prices due to our algorithm, and that's a big thing. So we see cheapest prices, and two, we basically have a security algorithm that checks the integrity of transactions and exchanges, so that you don't incur counterparty risk. So basically managing your counterparty risk, or minimize counterparty risk, or bring it to zero. And we ensuring that it is the cheapest prices that you can get. So cheapest prices and security is, our USP, and the fact that you have everything in one place to access it.
Yeah, no, I think price-wise, in terms of finding the best rate, it really is pretty much I would say the golden item here, more than anything else, right? In terms of getting the best price across the market. Yeah. So we fractionalize transactions, we fractionalize trades, and we have algorithms that have been proven in the banking, the trading side. So basically, we're bringing in automated strategies being used by big investment banks, and we're applying it into this space. So look, I mean, before we wrap up, Daniel, there's a lot of talk, that we're expecting, or there's talk and there's expectations, right, in this space, of another DeFi summer. So what clues have you kind of seen in the recent markets? What are the next steps with MetaFinance as well?
Yeah, so basically, we believe there's going to be another DeFi summer, and the clues that we are seeing is the fact that for example, I know that Elon Musk has been driving the price of Bitcoin now, and has been a bit volatile because of that. But recently he's announced that he's going to go back to accept Bitcoin, so that's why we've seen a upward moving price out of that. So you have big institutions. So basically, he's representing Tesla and the DeX. So you have big institutions that are coming back to the market and announcing they're going to accept a crypto. El Salvador has been a seismic moment, and then we are seeing regulation that is normalizing. I think regulators they're coming to basically understand that they have to work with the market, not against it.
Yep.
So I think there was a bit of volatility before because the regulators were coming down too hard.
Yes,
but it has been normalized, and then finally there's been a lot of money sitting on the corners waiting for things to normalize. I'm seeing a lot of institutions and family offices that are coming to the market and putting more and more money into crypto. So I think the signals are there, and mainly is these institutions, the family offices that are going knocking on the door of banks, of crypto exchanges to basically get involved. So we are seeing that more and more. So I think that gives you the signals that it's going to be another.
Yeah, no, it certainly sounds like. I mean, there are a number of articles today when I wake up where, within certainly a number of European articles that I've seen where they're looking to say, right, well, if you do want to deal with cryptocurrencies, then it needs to be from regulated accounts. We need to be able to see who it's coming from, etc. And there was a number of articles today, actually. So clearly, the doors are opening up, but they do, like we said before, need to have a balance. Before we can start seeing some of this. So, I mean, next steps. Where do we go from here with MetaFinance? What can we expect?
Yeah, so watch this space. The team has been very Asian focused, Chinese focused, but we are globalizing. So you're going to see more and more activities, and in the international market communities that are going to grow in Europe. They're going to grow in other areas. You're going to hear from us more and more as we enter those markets, and communities are being built in those markets.
Great. Well, look, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking about MetaFinance. Really looking forward to all the great work you've been doing. And obviously for our viewers, links are in the description below. So definitely check it out and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Daniel, until then, I'll see you on the next one.